This video is going to be very rambly, so sorry if I do that. But anyways, so I noticed like and the recent thing for me is I've been like on Tinder location. I've been Mexico maxing a bit. Mexico City, some cities in Mexico, Puebla, and with some boosts, I can get like here and there. I can attract some like 7 out of 10 Mexican girls. But nowhere else in Latin America I can do this. At least I don't think so. Especially not Peru or Colombia. But in Mexico, like I noticed something about Mexican girls is that they really kind of like they like my look. They have a bit of a fetish for indigenous men. Something I've noticed. Guys with some color to them, especially the light skinned white Mexican girls. They have a thing for like brown skin, like obviously brown skin Mexican indigenous Chads. There are indigenous Chads, even though you might not think so. Usually, indigenous Chads, I don't mean like 100%. I probably mean like 75% and then 25% Spaniard. Because I still have some Spanish features, but I'm mostly like 85%, like 80% is indigenous. And I noticed Mexican girls, especially the light skinned ones, love that. They honestly they fetishize it a bit. I've been told like I'm very I don't want to go bragging, but let's just say I think they like it much more than other Latin American countries. I think they like it the most. They're more proud of a little bit of the brown part the most than other Latin American countries. So that's one thing I've noticed. Peru, Venezuela, or maybe some other ones, they might go more towards into like loving white guys or loving black guys, but none of them kind of like to love the indigenous guys, unless you're like in the smaller towns, and then they kind of like the indigenous guys. But in Mexico, I've noticed they can still be a bit like modern, but they still have a thing for brown guys. So for my brown brothers out there, just a thought. But yeah, there's various kinds of Latinas. Like I said, there's something I've noticed is the light skinned ones, especially the almost white looking ones without the blue or green eyes. If they have blue or green eyes and they're white and they're Latina, they're pretty much gonna want to date a white blue green eyed guy, whether he's Latino or not. But if it's like a Spaniard, like a white skinned girl with brown eyes, dark brown hair, or if it's like almost black even, then a lot of times they'll date brown Latino dudes. They have a thing for the brown Latino dudes, and I've noticed it in my experience, where the light skinned ones were more receptive to the light skinned Latinas were much more receptive to me than the darker skin or middle skin ones. Obviously they acted like Latinas and all that, so there's that. And then something else I've noticed is the really dark skinned ones, they can either go either way. They can either like date only their own out of just because no one else really finds them attractive, or they can go full on, JBW and love white men. And then the middle skin ones are either or. Like they can either like be proud of I don't know, their culture, or if they're not, then yeah, they'll hop on, liking a white guy or even a black guy. So another thing I have to notice is in some a city in America is either dominant by there's only 3 types of cities when it comes to Hispanics. There's either whites are in power, whites are the bosses of a city, of a town, and in those places, yeah, white guys will probably get the picks of the litter. There are some city towns where there's a black urban swagger worship, and black guys are gonna get probably the pick of the litter. Latinos are gonna be dating black guys. But I noticed when they date black guys, they're still open to Latinos. When a Latina dates white guys, she's usually not that open to Latinos. So that's something I've noticed. But yeah, there's either going to be like a whites in power dominant location. Think of it, waspy, preppy whites, all that. Or it's going to be like a black swagger urbans are in power of a location. Or it's going to be a true enclave where Hispanics or brown is dating brown, and whether that's out of necessity or that's out of like culture, probably both. And browns are they're just procreating, and it's better if you're brown. Not by a lot, but like I said, it could be necessity, but there's just too many of them, and it's like another country. It's like you're not even in the U.S. anymore. So that's those Latinos from those places. Majority of them will date browns, and some of them will like kind of not really like where they're living or trying to venture out, and then they'll date out. But that's in my opinion is a minority. But for the white centrics places, majority will be JBW. They'll date whites. They favor they favor whites by a lot. You'd be surprised though. I knew this one very whitewashed Latina, and she ended up marrying a whitewashed Latino. And I think she was rich, and I think he also had some money. So there are some exceptions. Oh, dumb car. Okay, well, I'll speak loud. There are some exceptions, but majority, for the majority, that's the case. And then for the black urban swagger places, Latinos mostly date Latinos, but a lot of them will date black guys, as that urban flavor is kind of integrated into that community location. But like I said, I don't think it's like when they date black guys, they're still open to Latinos, which is interesting. And there are some places that are kind of, I noticed there are some towns that are kind of like, there's just too much mixes going on. And, blacks, you got, not blacks, but you got whites, Asians, maybe some blacks. And it's just, there's not really anything too dominant. And I noticed Latinas there are kind of open. And actually white girls there are kind of open. And you see just like white girls dating Asians. You see Latinas dating black guys or Asian. Like it's kind of all over the place. But those places, in my opinion, are kind of rare. Majority of places in the U.S. are fragmented racially. I think I was looking at the most diverse, truly diverse, not just diverse because of by numbers, but truly diverse towns in the U.S. And they tend to be in Sacramento, Fresno maybe, or somewhere more NorCal than SoCal. SoCal is more segregated. And then Long Beach, San Diego, a little bit. I notice when blacks are a part of the population, when blacks are a little bit in power in regards to a location, other minorities are able to freely express themselves and make friends and not be secluded. Because you have to remember, blacks are the most open race out of all the races when it comes to accepting people. I'd say Asians are the most, you're not Asian, go away. Whites, okay, Asians are first when it comes to excluding people that don't look like them. Okay, I'm sorry, Asians, but that's just how it is. My experience, and it's just the reality. Asians are first at exclusion, then it's whites. Then it's whites, then it's Hispanics, and then it's blacks. So, like I said, in my opinion, when blacks are a certain part of the population of a town, it kind of keeps white people in check. I'm just saying the truth, because Hispanics are too scared to keep white people in check. Well, they do, but actually they do, but not to the extent black people do. Black people do it the first, then it's Hispanics, and then Asians. Sorry, Asians and Indians, but they kind of stay in line when it comes to white people saying stuff to them. Not always, but more than blacks and more than Hispanics, and definitely blacks. So if you want a town to be kind of inclusive, like some towns I've seen where people make friends, minority I've seen make friends are not that excluded, or just people in general of different types. You want the black population to be a part of that town, that city, because they actually let other people. Like I said, they keep people. They like, I think I'm repeating myself, but they keep whites in check a bit, and they they freely allow other people to, be themselves a bit. But I think if it gets to like like fully black, it now be hard because then you have to assimilate fully to blacks. But when they're just a certain part of the population, I think it's actually very healthy. And I've seen people make friends, or even dating life is more open in these places where you have that part, where you have that segment. Yeah, but Latinas, yeah, and it depends on their vernacular too. So the way they speak, if you hear them speaking with a very, very Mexican accent, like a very you can tell they're in they have a bit of a bubble of where they grew up and how they see things. Yeah, they most likely, will like Mexican guys the most, fetishize Mexican guys the most. There are a lot of handsome Hispanic brown guys. You'd be surprised. And I'm not talking about the Spanish guys. I'm talking about like the indigenous. There are brown indigenous Mario Lopez looking dudes out there. You'd be surprised, and they definitely get their pick of the litter. They get the 9 out of 10. Latino woman, and I've accepted that. I'm not gonna get a 9 out of 10. But yeah, and then you have what was I saying? So yeah, some Latinos, when they speak like that, they'll get like they'll want another guy that kind of speaks similarly. And if they speak extremely whitewashed, bro, or I don't know, like they say like all the time, or they speaking like a white girl, then yeah, most likely white guys. Maybe black guys had a fetishization of their race and their stereotype. And then if they're they're not fully whitewashed bubble, but surfer or whatever, but they're not fully, they can't really relate that well to their culture. Then they're in that open segment where they're dating kind of regular people, and they're kind of open to different kinds of groups of people, Asians, probably with a more preference towards a little bit their own, but they'll be open, they'll be second class, but they'll be open. I see them a lot with mixed race people, like this guy mixed with Filipino and white. He's marrying a Mexican girl. This guy mixed with mixed races, because a lot of them are mixed. Latinos are mixed race, and that's when their vernacular is kind of in the middle. It's kind of a soft spoken, not too much white centric waspy centric language, but at the same time not with the the kind of tone of a Mexican or Hispanic accent has. So that's another part of what they like. And I had one more thing. Oh yeah. So what kind of group? So there's 3 types of guys that Mexican, or let's say Peruvian, Colombian. I'm just talking about the Southwest, so mostly Mexican girls like. Now there's the Arab, Spanish guy. Now this is okay. This is like the, people think blondes are like top number 1. They definitely have a fetish going on, but in my opinion, at least in the Hispanic community in the U.S., number 1 is like the Spanish Arab looking guy. The Spanish Arab looking guy that kind of looks pretty much Spaniard and can probably grow a beard, and he kind of looks like one of the old landowners in Mexico, with the big hat. And they're usually decent. They can be tall. They can usually like 5'10" or around there. These are probably number 1 when it comes to what they're attracted to. I noticed they have black hair, so there's that. But they usually have like a landowner kind of look, and they usually have some height. So that's the guy I think is number 1 when it comes to that's the perfect guy to marry. They just have that landowner wealth look to them. They're not white, they're not blue-eyed, but they have this light-skinned Spaniard, almost like little Arab look to them. And a lot of the reggaeton singers have that kind of look too. So for example, like Wisin and Yandel, so like Wisin is like this white, so this kind of white skin, like black-haired look. That's number 1. Now another niche, I don't know, I've never understand the word, is like the Mario Lopez kind of look. The Mario Lopez, the Benjamin Bratt, the Jay Hernandez kind of look, like this kind of soccer player kind of look, like an athletic kind of look. It's kind of similar to what I got a little bit, where it's like brown skin, light brown skin, black hair. They usually have a more squarish face, and not a lot of that comes because of the Mexican Amerindian indigenous people. They have more boxy-ish faces, so a lot of times they have really good jaws, really good cheekbones. That's one of my best assets, my cheekbones. They have really dominant, like low set eyes and just boxish face. They look like Mexican boxers, like they look like warriors almost. And they'll usually range around like 5'7" to like, I'm talking about like a brown Chad, to like a 5'10", 5'11". And they have black hair, of course, and usually they profit better off being a little bulky, not bulky, no, athletic, lean, yeah, lean, because lean comes out better when you're tan. So lean, athletic, boxy-ish face, clean cut. They look better when they have like a little bit of a fade. And they can be clean shaven. They don't really need a beard. Most of them, a lot of them can't really grow beards that well, but they have boxish faces with big wide jaws, so they can allow themselves to be clean shaven. I didn't get that much of the indigenous jaw, unfortunately, but I got the cheekbones. So that's another niche to play. The brown athletic soccer player Chad look, Chadriguez look, or Chad Chukachuk, some kind of indigenous name kind of look. That's another niche that I've played into in the past, and there's that, and then there's it's just pretty much those are the two kinds of like Chadriguez that exist, in my opinion, for what Hispanic girls like. I think for the most part. All right, I'll ramble on some other time.